Hello and welcome back to Three Things with JR. I'm back. I am doing the show this week. Listeners of this show will know that I didn't do an episode 2 weeks ago because I was sick and tired and didn't have time. So you shouldn't bother going back to listen to that episode because it didn't exist. Or did it? I've got way more than 3 things to talk about today. So let's get into it, shall we? First off, as you'll notice, my voice is mostly back. And I got some allergy type stuff going on a few weeks ago, and my voice declined for about a week, and then it was pretty well gone. And now it is back on the rise. I can go into falsetto. Falsetto. I have a little bit of falsetto. It sounds better when my voice is warmed up. I can go deeper. But for a while there, my voice was just kind of flat. I had nothing. Couldn't go up or down. And I have the cough that I had for several weeks has finally pretty much reduced itself down to just my normal smoker's cough. So I'm in a pretty good place. The voice is going to be back and good and strong for the upcoming performances of Little Shop of Horrors, which is the main first thing. Let's talk about that here. We are close. We are so close. We are days away from Tech Week, which is next week. Starts on Sunday, this coming Sunday, April 23rd. We will have like a double tech rehearsal, and then tech rehearsals Monday through Thursday, and then opening night is 2 Fridays from right now, the last Friday of April. And we are excited. I got to tell you, this cast is it's the smallest cast I've worked with in any theater production so far. A Christmas Story had there was more kids in A Christmas Story than there are in this whole show. And then Something Rotten was about a 20 to 25 person cast. And the Kinky Boots, a similar 20 to 30 people in that show. Sound and Music was ridiculous. There's 42 people in that show. In Little Shop of Horrors, we've got Adam as Seymour, who is, by the way, fantastic. He was Charlie in Kinky Boots, so I know him. I know him well. I know how talented he is, and incredibly smart and super nice. And he's a perfect Seymour. Rob Mish is playing Mushnik, the role I really, really wanted, but I have to defer to Rob as Mushnik because every time I see him in rehearsal, he becomes more and more Mushnik. Like, he just is Mushnik, and who is the shop owner in Little Shop of Horrors. So it's hard to see me as a better Mushnik than him. However, I am his understudy. So should he fall sick or be unavailable for any performance, I will take over the role of Mushnik, and I hope nothing happens to Rob. I hope audiences get to see the best show possible, and he is the best Mushnik we have. But if it doesn't happen, I will gladly step into that role and do my best Rob Mish / Mushnik impression. Logan is our Oren Scrivello, the dentist. Fantastic. I technically am also his understudy, but audiences will definitely suffer if I have to be the dentist, which I can. I know all the words. I can sing the songs. I can do the moves. But Logan is just channeling dentist for Little Shop. So he is absolutely the right guy for that role. Reese as Audrey is absolutely incredible. She looks the part, she sounds the part, she acts, she sings, she dances, she's incredible. Our urchins, Beth, Katie, and Marab, are fantastic. The voices on those ladies, every single time, it just kills me. We've got 2 great puppeteers, Colin and Kaylee. And then to round out the ensemble cast is Garrett and myself. I personally will be playing a wino and then a customer. I'm also the voice, not unlike that of God, to open the show. I'm a radio announcer in the show. I will then play Leonard Bernstein from NBC, and then Mrs. Luce, the editor's wife of Life magazine, and then Patrick Martin of World Botanical Enterprises. I'll be doing lots and lots of costume changes, and that's if I don't also have to do the dentist. Because if I'm the dentist, I'm still all those roles. If I have to play Mushnik, then it's either Mushnik or those other roles, not both. So there's the cast is absolutely. I'm easily the weakest one on the stage, and I'm doing okay. So you are in good hands. If you come see Little Shop of Horrors at the Wayne, you will not be disappointed. And they happen to be this week's show sponsor. So we'll have a little commercial coming up for them. They are kind enough to sponsor the show. And so there you go. Understudying is a lot of work. In addition to all of the lines and choreography and singing that I have to do for my main ensemble role, understudying adds on top of that, learning all of the lines and songs and choreography for two other characters. And I got to tell you, for a few weeks there, with the past several weeks, I've been taking it lightly. I haven't been hardcore studying and learning as I should. And it showed. Like about a week ago in rehearsal, it was fairly obvious when I struggled to know when to be where I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to say when I got there. So I have been buckling down and really working on it, and I think the work is paying off. So yeah, if I have to do either of those roles, I'm good to go. I've pretty well got Mushnik. Everything he has to say and do, I think I'm ready for. I'm almost there for like the dentist. I don't have his lines all figured out, but I've got the song. There's two songs. I got one of the songs pretty well nailed. The other song is still going to take some work. But yeah, we will be ready. Should disaster strike, pretty much everybody in the show has an understudy. So there won't be one of those, we have to wait a week because of COVID or something. That should not cause a problem for this production. So I'm pretty excited about that. And you should be too. Go to the waynetheater.org to get tickets. I will put a link in the show notes for this as well as on the Facebook post. So it should be easy to find the Wayne Theater and to get yourself some tickets. The theater itself is incredible. The stage is awesome. Oh, by the way, did I mention that instead of singing to recorded tracks provided by Musical Theater International, instead of that, we are playing and doing this show with a live band in the orchestra pit at the Wayne Theater. This will be my first experience of that, and our rehearsal yesterday was called a Sitzprobe. Didn't know that was a word. Sitzprobe, Sitzprobe. That's when the actors and the band come together for their first rehearsal together. And we found out that it's a whole lot more fun to sing these songs and deliver these lines with an actual band that can adjust and make changes and adjust timing and cues, musical cues and stabs and things like that. It's way more fun to do this with actual musicians and an orchestra leader in total control of everything. And Sarah's fantastic at figuring out everything that has to happen musically and vocally and all that stuff in the show. So, man, I couldn't be more excited for this production. It is going well in rehearsals, and and then there's the show itself. And if you're unfamiliar with Little Shop of Horrors, you really should do zero research and just go see the show. If you research it, you might think this seems a little silly, the whole concept of the show. And it is a little silly, but it's making a point. And I'm not going to tell you what that point is. I'll leave it up to you to determine what point was made, if any, when you see the show. But it's an important show, and it's funny and it's silly and the music is great. And just, again, I could go on and on. The whole entire podcast could be all Little Shop of Horrors, but probably that's not the way to go here. So, I'm going to move on. And just talk about theater in general for me has become It's like an addiction. It is like a new thing that I can't stop doing. Maybe it's more of an obsession than it is an addiction. It's not all I want to do, but it is mostly what I want to do. I want to be on stage performing for people. And, with the pandemic, that kind of, for me personally, killed comedy. I was really, really getting into it and figuring some stuff out. And then when comedy went away, as with the pandemic, I certainly made a go of it there. Once comedy was sort of starting to come back, outdoors, social distancing, masks on, that kind of stuff. But it just never had the same meaning to me. And even when I've gone back and done comedy, yeah, I could still do it. I could go to an open mic tomorrow and work on some stuff and do that, but I'm just not really motivated to, so I'm not. I don't have time to with all the theater I'm doing, but I'm just not really, I don't really want to. So comedy's out. The band has struggled to get back in front of audiences. We rehearse whenever we can, which is usually once or twice a month. But, there's no real gigs on the schedule. We got a couple coming up, and I'll talk about those on this show as well as on Small Things Considered when Gary and I do our show on alternating weeks. We'll give you plenty of heads up when we have, performances on the calendar. But, that's not as prolific as it was. I don't have time to do a lot of other stuff. I can't keep up with my TV shows. There's so many TV shows that I would love to be watching, but there's just no time. When I wasn't doing theater for several months, I was watching Jeopardy every single night. I love watching Jeopardy and talking about Jeopardy with my family. We all watch Jeopardy, and then we talk. I haven't seen an episode of Jeopardy since probably December or January. I haven't been able to watch any baseball. I've had it on in the background while I was cooking or something, but even with these new rules that have shortened the game and according to all accounts made it better, I have not had a chance to really watch much baseball. I love watching disc golf, and there's two ways to watch disc golf. There's Disc Golf Network. You can watch it live. All right. And a disc golf tournament, kind of like a real golf tournament, is 3 or 4 days. And you can watch live coverage on Disc Golf Network. It's a website. It's an app. And a live round of disc golf is going to take 3 to 4 hours to watch an entire day of disc golf. Or you can wait until the next day and watch what they call post-produced disc golf, which is that same round of disc golf, that same where they follow around a specific foursome of disc golfers as they go around 18 holes. And basically you get to see every single shot by all 4 players from hole 1 to hole 18, and it condenses it down because you're not wasting time while they're walking from tee to fairway to disc to the basket, etc. It just takes 4 hours of disc golf and condenses it into an hour to an hour and a half. And I typically will watch those in the evening or on my lunch break. I don't even have time for that anymore. I am now only really being able to watch like highlight videos. Which takes that entire round of 4 hours of disc golf and compresses it down to just the best shots from as many players as possible. So 10 or 15 minutes per round. So I'm getting my fill that way, and that's really all I have time for, which is a big deal because for a long time there, I was basically watching live and post-produced whenever possible, and that's just not happening anymore. So that's kind of what's going on for me. When I'm not working, I'm theatering it up or disc golfing it up. And then just balance. There's not a ton of it right now. And I'm reminded of that, with Kiki, and we haven't had a ton of time to do a whole lot of stuff. We did go out on a date night the other night, which was really nice. Got some dinner, had some good conversation, and really just made some time for each other. But we haven't had a whole lot of opportunities to do that, mainly because I'm busy every night doing rehearsals and stuff. So yeah, I've been thinking for a while that after Little Shop of Horrors, I would probably take a break from theater, but I don't really want to. If there's another show on the horizon that speaks to me, that there's a role that I think I would be really good at, that I like, that's juicy, that's got some good dialogue, some good singing, some fun stuff to do, yeah, it would be really hard to resist at least auditioning for that kind of thing. And, man, it's tough. There is a show coming up. Auditions are at the end of May. And I told myself taking the summer off, but then this show comes up. I'm not going to jinx anything by even saying the name of the show. You may have heard of it. You may not have heard of it, but I've heard of it and I love it. And I want to be in it. So it's going to be hard to not audition. And then if I'm offered a role, it's going to be hard not to accept it. And then it's going to be hard to find balance all summer because I'll be rehearsing 4 or 5 nights a week. So I don't know. It's a decision I will have to make. And I'll let you listeners know what the decision is. In fact, you won't be able to avoid it if you're listening to this show. Oh, gosh. Today, Monday, April 17th, it is now officially more than 2 weeks since my last Mountain Dew. When I last spoke to you, I told you that I was quitting Mountain Dew, and I've done it. I have gone 2 weeks without even one sip of a Mountain Dew. And I got to tell you, I made the decision, like the switch flipped in my brain. So I can't say it's been super hard. The hard part was flipping the switch, making the decision, and then actually doing it, actually not taking one more sip. And, you know, when I'm in a soda drinking mode in my life, when I'm drinking Mountain Dew, as people who know me well can attest, that's all I drink. Like, I don't want anything else. I will have Mountain Dew first thing in the morning. I'll have it before lunch. I'll have it during lunch. I'll have another one after lunch. I'll have another one after that one after lunch. I'll have one with dinner. I'll have one after dinner. You know what I don't have is I don't drink any water. I don't drink any juice or anything healthy when I'm in drinking Mountain Dew mode. That's all I drink. It's all I want to drink. And the 2 weeks ago, when I finally was able to go, yeah, it's time. Don't buy any more Mountain Dew at the store. Drink the few you have, wean off of them so you don't get the caffeine withdrawal headaches, and then replace it. And just like I did last time, I've been replacing it with water with some of that little Mio juice squirted into my water. So I'm getting at least something semi-sweet, but nowhere near as sweet or filled with calories as Mountain Dew. And I've been able to do it. That's mostly what I've been drinking since I stopped drinking Mountain Dew. I say I drink Mountain Dew in the morning. Actually, for the past several years, I've been drinking a chai tea latte from Starbucks every single morning. And since I quit Mountain Dew, I have gotten a chai tea latte on my way to work at Starbucks about half as much. Sometimes I just no, I'm just going to drink this water this morning, this Mio water. And so I don't get it. But then sometimes I do. And, you know, I haven't committed to not drinking chai tea lattes. I've only committed to not drinking Mountain Dew. And I'm planning to stick with it. I've already lost 5 pounds. In 2 weeks, 5 pounds are gone, according to the scale. So that's a motivator to see that trend. And maybe I'm even noticing that when I eat food that I would normally drink Mountain Dew with, which is almost pretty much every food, I don't enjoy it as much. So if I'm not enjoying the food I want to eat as much, I might start making choices like eating the food I should eat, because why not? It'll be just as enjoyable as the food I want that's not as enjoyable as it normally would be. So this could be a thing that picks up some steam that snowballs into a bigger deal, which, I've done before in my life. I've been really heavy. I've been pretty thin and healthy, and everything in between multiple times in my life. And normally when I start losing the weight, I don't really talk about it with people. It's just something, a change I've done, but I think I do want to talk about it this time and maybe make it something long term. So there you go. It's out there. Well, here's an example of how it's been tough. When I go to lunch, I often eat lunch during the work days at a Mexican restaurant near Crutchfield called El Jaripeo, and they know me there. I sit out on the patio. I bring my dog. I bring my cigarettes. They bring me the exact same meal every single time. It is a lunch, chimichanga, shrimp, fried. They bring me the regular red salsa. They bring me some white sauce that is a kind of a special white sauce that only El Jaripeo makes, and they'll give it to you right there along with the salsa. They know to bring me that every single time, and they know to bring me a Mountain Dew to drink every single time. And I have to, every time I remind them, hey, please, no Mountain Dew, please bring me water. And they have completely understood and have been bringing me water. And so there's been no accidental Mountain Dews at lunch or anything like that. But then when I eat that same food without Mountain Dew, I don't walk away as satisfied with my lunch as I normally would. That chimichanga, the cheese, the meat, the vegetables, and the tortilla, and the guacamole, and the sour cream, and the white sauce, and the salsa, and the chips. I'm walking out of there going, that just didn't taste as good as it normally does. And I think it's probably got something to do with not pairing it with a fresh Mountain Dew or 2 or 3. So I don't know. Maybe I won't eat that every day for lunch. Anyway, yeah, it's good. Do I quit drinking the chai tea latte? Boy, I don't know. I know it's not cheap. I spend about as much on a chai tea latte every morning as I do on Mountain Dew every day. So, man, it would save me money, but I don't know. One thing at a time. Let's make sure I stop drinking the Mountain Dew long term first, and then see what's next. Believe it or not, I haven't gotten to the 3 things yet. We're going to do that after this commercial break. Do you have an appetite for entertainment? Do you crave great music? Then let us hear you say it.
Feed me.
The Wayne Theater is serving up Little Shop of Horrors April 28th through 30th and May 5th through 7th. It's a deviously delicious blend of comedy, romance, and horror, all of man-eating proportions. Get your tickets for the musical comedy Little Shop of Horrors at waynetheater.org or call our box office today.
Let there be love. Love will find a way. Yes, it will. Let there be love. Love will find a way. Always.
All right, let's do it. 3 things. Here we go. Thing number 1. Thing number 1, and actually all 3 things. I got a theme for the 3 things this week. All 3 things are going to be examples of things that are, from my personal life experience, different now that the pandemic is over. And yeah, I am willing to say the pandemic is over. You don't hear about it on the news anymore. It's basically a thing of the past. Even hospitals have stopped requiring wearing masks. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of the ones around here have. That's a pretty big sign to me that the pandemic is over. Are people still getting COVID? I'm sure they are, but it is not a part of daily life anymore. And I'm happy that it's over. But what are the differences to me personally, to my life, to my daily life now versus before the pandemic, right? Like remembering life before COVID was a thing Ignore those 3 years. I'm not talking about comparing my life now to what it was like during the pandemic, but what is it like now compared to what it was like before the pandemic? What changed? What changed about me? What changed, for me, against me, whatever? Here are 3 things, and I'm going to give them to you in ascending order of importance. Like, for example, thing number 1, my job. My job definitely adapted to a new reality, right? Before the pandemic, my job was to go into Crutchfield, and most months of the year, I would be in a room with 5 to 10 other people, and I would be teaching them how to sell car stereos and home stereos. I would teach them about the products and the technology and the communication skills and how to use our computer systems and all of that. That's my job. And that job changed drastically. And the way I do that same job now is that I'm personally, and my company in general, is way more nimble and able to do that job in a different way and to bring in new technologies. Like, we started using Microsoft Teams to do that same job with people remotely from their homes. And now in the post-pandemic world, we do a combination of both. We have live in-person training, and we have remote training using Microsoft Teams, and people have laptops. And it used to be that when you started the job at Crutchfield, you worked on site every day for usually about a year before you could start working from home. Taking calls, talking to customers at home was not something we just let everybody do until they had been there a while. Now, been there a while means about 4 weeks, and then you can sort of begin a hybrid schedule, which means I have to be able to train people live in person in the room with me, as well as remotely, and also to be able to roll with the punches more, to be able to be more nimble and do the same job I did before using new and different technologies and methods. But it's really the same job. So my job changed drastically while staying pretty much the same. So that's thing number 1. My job changed, but stayed the same.
Thing number 2.
Thing number 2, everything else I do outside of my job. Let's talk about that. We'll call it extracurricular activities. I already mentioned comedy pretty much faded away. I'm really not doing that anymore. I might again someday, but I'm not really doing comedy. As a result of the pandemic, I played a lot of disc golf during the pandemic, and I'm playing more now than I used to years ago. But disc golf sort of cemented itself as a thing I do whenever I can, as opposed to a thing I remembered, oh yeah, I do that. So every couple of months or years, I would pick up the discs and go play. Now it is a regular thing. If I go more than a week without playing, I get cranky. So disc golf becoming more of a constant. I mentioned my band has kind of suffered trying to get back in front of crowds. Not for lack of trying. We would like some gigs. If you know of a gig where you want a loud rock and roll band made up of some pretty cool old dudes, we are the band for you. Tobefair.com, TOBEFARE.com, for more information on the band. But the biggest change to my extracurricular activities is this whole theater thing. I'm not going to rehash everything I did before the things here, but I do want to point out that I began my musical theater journey on stage, and I think I began it because of I certainly benefited from the effects of the pandemic on the theater world. Right? Pretty much shut down for a year and a half, and started to come back in 2021. And it was right around the time I was thinking, gosh, I really want to do musical theater. And The Perfect Role came up with A Christmas Story, the musical. And and I went and auditioned, and I didn't know what to expect. I had never been at a theater audition before, community theater or otherwise. I thought I was expecting there to be some other people auditioning for the same role I was auditioning for, but that's not what happened. I didn't see anybody else auditioning for the role of Gene Shepard, the narrator in A Christmas Story, the musical. There may have been other people the director was considering for the role. Like if nobody showed up to the audition, I think they would have found somebody, but they didn't have to because I showed up and I could do the job. So I got the job. And I have to think that if there was, 4, 5, 10 other people that wanted that role, I'm not a shoo-in for that role. There could have been someone better. So the fact that I was the only one benefited me, and well, it filled that cup for me. It solved that for me. It gave me that creative outlet. The ability to perform in front of a crowd, make them laugh and make them cry, and make them smile, and bring joy to people. It was there, and I got to do it, and I got the bug. And I think that I benefited from that experience in helping me get my next several roles. But now that the pandemic is pretty much over, the difference is that if I want to get the roles I want, I need to work harder and be prepared at auditions, and I should expect there to be some competition, and that I shouldn't be a shoo-in for this. So I think I benefited a lot from the effect that the pandemic had on theater, and getting me into it. And now I'm sort of at that next phase where I've got to up my game. And so that's where my life is at right now in that world, as far as now compared to before the pandemic. And lastly, thing number 3.
Thing number 3.
This is the biggest one. I think this is the one that I think about it every single day. Something happens every single day that makes me think about this, and it's profound for me personally. And I don't know who else has had this experience. I'm sure I'm not alone in it. But I find that I am generally more forgiving and understanding of others as a result of the pandemic. It has caused me to think before I speak even more than I already did, at times when I might normally want to complain or be snarky, or when I might feel I have been wronged or treated unfairly. For example, a bad service in a restaurant or a store. I recently went to a car dealership to ask about some parts for my Subaru. That was a week and a half ago. They haven't called me back. No callback from a car dealership. I would be pretty pissed normally, but right now, I think to myself, they probably wrote down my number wrong, or one guy had to give the information to another guy and something got lost in translation. They lost the slip of paper my info was on. There's probably a very reasonable explanation for it. Was it poor service? Yes. Am I happy about it? No. Am I going to say anything to them about that? I might if it comes up, but I'm certainly not going to complain. Because I think most people are doing their job to the best of their abilities, and mistakes happen. And sometimes I might be the victim of somebody's mistake. It does kind of annoy me that stores are closed earlier. But then when I think about how I would like to go to Walmart at midnight, I think about all those Walmart employees that don't have to work overnight. And there's probably some that would like to work overnight, or would like to be open, or there might be more people that could be employed as a result of it. But I know stores are struggling to find employees. So, there's so many factors there that I begin to realize that my desire to go to Walmart at midnight or to go out to eat later than most people, and it's harder to do that now because most restaurants close earlier, I get it. I mean, yes, it's annoying, but I then have that thought. Like the second I feel like I'm annoyed by that, I don't have to tell myself to do this. Just immediately the thought comes into my head is, somebody else's life is better because they're not having to provide this service for me at my whim, at whenever I feel like I want to go out to eat or go to Walmart. They don't have to be ready for me. I can adjust, I can adapt, I can go to a store later. I wanted to buy a motorcycle, a particular type of motorcycle, to go on a nice trip to Alaska with my buddy, Darren, and simply can't. Like, if you want to buy a Honda Goldwing right now, good luck. It's been next to impossible. We haven't been able to test ride them. We think those are the bikes that we want, but we can't even really be sure until we get a chance to really mess around with them. And that's just been next to impossible. It's not the dealer's fault. I'm not going to be a jerk to them because I can't get what I want. I have that thought all the time, is that I'm just generally more okay with things not being the way I want them to be all the time. Whereas before, I was less patient, more snarky, more willing to speak up and complain. It didn't really benefit me. It didn't fix the situation. It just probably, made someone's day less awesome. And I think about, what do I do? How do I present myself? And I think whether I'm performing on stage or at work teaching people or playing disc golf, I want the people around me to generally be as happy, if not happier, because of my presence. And whether that's just me being a nice person and smiling, or being a good listener, or saying something funny, or performing a meaningful thing, that's what I want to do every day, all day. And so that is my goal. And I think I'm doing that more often, and I'm not having to, it's not like I have to tell myself to do it. It's just happening. And I think that change is a result of the pandemic, and knowing what I had it pretty good going through the pandemic. I did not have to hole up in my house every day, all day, like so many people did, and some are still doing. That was not my pandemic experience. I went out and played disc golf. As soon as I could, I went out to music, live music, and theater, and movies, and doing things with other people. And I did not let it drag me down. And if anything, my life is better post-pandemic than it was before. And my life was already pretty damn good. So I got nothing to complain about. That's not what this show's for anyway. If I find something to complain about, I'll let you know. And I will constructively give feedback or criticism when I think it will actually help. But I'm certainly not going to complain without thinking about what good is that going to bring. And if it's going to bring good, I'll do it. And if it's not, I'll probably just keep my mouth shut. There you go. That's the show. 3 things plus a bunch of other things. And now you know what's going on with me. I know Gary's listening to this, and he might not know this until right now when I say it, but Gary, I don't know if I'm going to have time to record Small Things Considered before next Tuesday. We've got a lot of stuff happening, but if we can find the time, we will, brother, and let's see if we can make it work. So, you might hear from Gary and me next week for Small Things Considered. It might be 2 weeks before you hear me again for 3 Things with JR. Who knows? Stay tuned. Subscribe, and you will know. You will see it pop up in your podcast feed. Tell others. I think this show has a lot of benefits to other people hearing about whatever's going on in my life, because it's probably not something totally unique to me. So maybe we can bring joy to more people. Anyway, that's it. I'm rambling now. I've said all the things on the list I made before I cracked the mic open, and now I don't know why I'm still talking. So I'm going to shut up. You're going to go about the rest of your day. Please know I love you, and I'll see you as soon as I can. Adios.
It's not hard. Turn the tables in your heart. Turn the tables